All right, everyone, we are back with Teddy's historic content list. We've been taking a look at all the comments and we're listening. Some of the comments said you should do a list of guys who won world titles that had poor records at the time of winning the world title. So here it is. Not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. Teddy's top 10 list of fighters to win a world title with maybe not the best record at the time.
Yeah, listen, just what my son said. You guys ask for it, you're going to get it. And the good, the bad, and the in-between. But these are all fighters that they turned out to be great fighters, but they had to go through different roads to get there. And some of those roads, like I often say, you sometimes learn what you have to learn to be the best by what happens when you lose. Sometimes you do have to lose. This is kind of like testament to what I say to young fighters. Sometimes you got to lose to win. And just because you lose shouldn't be a death sentence. Because you lose again shouldn't be a death sentence. What matters is what do you learn while you're losing. And if we didn't allow these guys to get world titles shots after they lost not one, not two, but several fights, we would have been minus some great fighters in our history. But thankfully, we're not. And I think some of the greatest fighters and the greatest stories in our business, in this great business of boxing and this great sport of boxing, is the stories of the underdogs. The guys that might not have been the fastest, might not have been the biggest punchers, might not have been the guys that had the big amateur background. But they were the guys who persevered. Those were the guys that, learned along the way. Even though it was a more bumpy path, but they learned. And they learned what it took to become a champion. And they became a champion. Despite records that a lot of times you just would not connect with a guy that you call a champion. But all that matters is two things. One, they get there. And two, they know how to fight when they get there. And these guys knew how to fight when they got there. So I'll start at number 10. And I'll start with Jorge Vaca. His final record was 65-26-2, 50 knockouts. He was the WBC welterweight champion. His record was 42-6-1 when he won the title. He could punch. He was tough. And at the end of the day, he got his chance. He made the most of it. Number 9, Billy Backus. Final record, 48-20-5, 22 knockouts, welterweight world champion. His record was 30 wins, 10 losses, and 4 draws when he won the title. Yeah, he got a little bit fortunate, no doubt about it. He beat the great Jose Napoles, the great Cuban fighter. He beat him because he cut him. He cut him with a punch. The fight couldn't go on, and therefore he won. I think it was the 4th round. He won by technical knockout because Jose Napoles could not go on because of a cut that was caused by a punch, not a headbutt. All right, I'll go now to number 8. You guys probably remember him because he was the guy that really upset the apple cart a little bit early on for a great fighter's career. That was Lomachenko. Lomachenko wanted to come right into the pros and win the world title in his first fight. He wound up getting a chance in his second fight to fight for the world title, and it was a tough fight. It was a close fight. Experience does matter. Even if you're a great, great, great amateur, experience in the pros does matter. And this fighter, Orlando Salido Rivera, the IBF welterweight champion, and also WBO champion, when he won his first title, the featherweight title, he was 40. Let's see. I want to make sure I got his record right. He was 35-10-2. His final record was 44-14-4. He was 35-10-2 when he won his first title. Now, for those people out there that get discouraged when things don't go right at the beginning, but I always tell you, don't get discouraged because, that old saying, if you don't succeed at first, try again. But never dismiss what a person can learn. Like I said earlier, when they're going through a difficult period in their life, you still can learn something. And those somethings are the things that can actually get you to the place you want to get to. If you understand that, if you give yourself a chance to absorb those lessons, not to quit. That's the most important part. Look at this guy's career, bud, at the beginning. He started his career 8-6-1 and was knocked out 5 times during that period. Is that extraordinary? And he didn't quit. He went on to become a champion 3 times. That's incredible. But it's not impossible. And it's not that incredible because people do it. They do it if they give themselves a chance to do it. To not give up. It's a great lesson there. He had to be on the list. Okay. Number 7. I love this one. And he had triplet sons that fought. Mike Weaver, WBA heavyweight champion. He was 41-18-1 with 28 knockouts. His final numbers at the end of his career, he was 21-9 when he fought Big John Tate from Tennessee and won the title. And what a knockout. What a moment. What a real-life Rocky moment. I mean, he was losing every minute of every round. He was behind on every scorecard going the old days, going into the 15th round. And with 20 seconds left, maybe it was 20 or 30, whatever it was, but with very little time left in the last round, in the 15th round, you talk about a bolt of lightning coming out of the sky. But this one was in the form of a left hook. Oh my goodness. I mean, behind, he can't win any other way. He hits Big John Tate, and Big John Tate fell face first onto the floor and was out for maybe a good minute. What a Rocky moment.
I love the crossover, too, with the list that helps to memorize some of these guys. Last week, number 1, greatest comebacks of all time, spoke on this fight.
That's true. True. Number 6. Boy, this guy, God bless him. Buster Drayton. He won the IBF Junior Middleweight Championship. He finished at 40 wins, 15 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest, 28 knockouts. His record was 28-9-1 when he won the title. Tremendous. Number 5. One of the greatest fighters of all time. One of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. A guy who life didn't treat fair. But he made it right. He made it right with his talent, with his determination. Again, that word resiliency. And he didn't make excuse. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He had to wait like 15 years to get a title fight. 15 years. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. He didn't get treated fair. No. There's no doubt about it. I don't think any court of law would argue that fact. It didn't matter. It was the fact. You could either cry about it or do something about it. He did something about it. He kept fighting. He kept learning. He kept winning. And when he finally got his shot to win the world title, the old mongoose, the great Archie Moore, he had 19 losses when he won the title. 19 losses. But his final record was 185 wins, 23 losses, and 11 draws. When he won the world title, when he finally got the shot against Joey Maxim, his record was 134 wins, 19 losses, 8 draws. when he beat Joey Maxim. The same Joey Maxim who beat maybe the greatest fighter of all time, the great Sugar Ray Robinson for a light heavyweight title before that. But really, you could also say that the elements, the environment, the heat really beat Sugar Ray Robinson because he collapsed in his corner after the 13th round in the world title fight, 15-round fight for the light heavyweight title in Yankee Stadium outdoors. I think it was July. It was like 105 degrees in the ring. And the referee had collapsed a few rounds earlier. He had to be carried out of and they had to change referees. He had to be carried out of the ring. And then Sugar Ray Robinson, again, ahead on scorecards after the 13th round, collapses in his corner from heat exhaustion. But the great Archie Moore, he finally gets his shot. 19 losses, so what? So what? He took all that experience. He took all that pent up, frustration, and he put it all together in the right way. And he finally won the light heavyweight title. And you know what he did when he won the light heavyweight title? He kept it. He kept it. He wasn't. Could you blame the guy, bud? Could you blame the guy? Could you blame the guy for keeping it 10 years, 11 years, whatever the heck it was, set the record for the longest reign of a light heavyweight at that time? Could you blame him? Damn right you couldn't blame him. You wouldn't want him to do anything less. The great Archie Moore. I hope you guys are enjoying these lists. I enjoy bringing them. My son enjoys having me do them because you guys asked for them. Number 4, we'll go to a little more modern day. Number 4, Kelvin C. Brooks. He won the IBF bantamweight title. Look at this. His final record, this was a champion. This was a good fighter. He could punch, too. His final record was 28, 22, and 23 knockouts. 28 wins, 22 losses. Wow. You would never, would you, if you saw that record and you didn't see anything next to it depicting that he was a world champ, bud, would you ever think this guy was a great fighter? No. Never. Never.
But I do think that that's the key here of differentiating, right, with the list or clarifying. It's at the time that they win the world title because unfortunately in boxing, too many world champions fight for too long and the records at the end might not be what they should have been, right? I mean, we could go on and on with great fighters and great world champions that finish with poor records, so to speak.
Very true. I'm glad you made that point. And since you made that point, I add one thing to it. You're right. But the errors. It's got a lot to do with the era of the fight. Like Archie Moore's era. That era, it was not uncommon to have more losses because you had more activity. You had more clubs to fight, to develop. You had more promoters. You had more fighters. It was a bigger sport. You had fighters fighting much more regularly than you do today. You had the great Henry Armstrong fighting 30-something times a year, where today that's a career. You're lucky if a guy fights twice a year. If he fights 3 or 4 times, my God, he was overworked. He's looking for overtime. I mean, really, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. I'm being serious. So,
no, it's so true, but it's also what we're saying of knowing when to hang them up. Iran Barkley, for instance, right? He fought great fighters. Yeah, you're going to get some losses when you're fighting those guys, but he continued. I think he ended with 7 losses to end his career and finishes at 43, 19, and 1.
It's true. Some of them went too long, and most of the great ones, like Sugar Ray Robinson, all the great ones, most of their losses were accumulated when they weren't the same fighter anymore. Late in their career, no doubt about. But the last thing I just want to make sure I made it clear with the eras of the 30s to 40s, those eras, the 20s, going back those eras, those fighters would be prone to having more losses, whether it was through their career at the end when you accumulate their record and you look at the final record, the accumulation of all their fights, or whether it was when they fought for the title. It wasn't as uncommon to have more losses when you fought for the title back then because, again, all the fighters were fighting more fights. They were fighting more often. And it wasn't a death sentence by the promoter if a guy had a loss. It didn't matter because he fought again the following week. He fought 4 more times the following month. It didn't matter. All that mattered was he could fight at that level. And he could be in a fight at that level. That's all that mattered. He learned his trade. And I think today guys could learn a lesson from that, to get more fights, to take more chances, to learn your trade. Anyway, getting back to C. Brooks, when he won the title, his record was not a record you would connect with a guy, again, not only fighting for a title, but about to win a title. His record was 23-13 when he won the title. Kelvin C. Brooks, number 4. Number 3. Gotta love this guy. He was terrific. Freddy Pendleton. He won the IBF lightweight title. His final record was 47-26-5. 47 wins, 26 losses, 5 draws, 34 knockouts. When he won the title, his record was 33 wins, 17 losses, 4 draws. Freddy Pendleton. You could make a mistake fighting that guy. You know, you're bringing a kid up. He's not really ready. You think he's ready. You know what I mean? He's got a nice record. You know, you matched him real carefully and everything else. You know, he flossed. He brushed his teeth. You know, he combed his hair nice. You know, he had a nice uniform going into the ring. You know, everything was nice. And then you say, we'll get him an in-between fight, an easy one. We'll get him a fight with this guy who's 33-17-4. Big mistake. Big mistake. Big mistake. All right. Number 2. We're getting there, bud. We're getting there, bud. This is it, buddy. The great Fitzy Zivic. Bud, welterweight champion during a time when there was so many good fighters, so many great fighters. When he won the title, he had 24 losses. You imagine that? Really, think about that. You think a guy would be given an opportunity to fight for a title today with 24 losses? He might be a great. You would stop a great Fitzy Zivic from getting a world title today. You would. You would stop him from getting a world title today because of the way that people look at things, which is not always the right way. So, Fitzy Zivic, he finished with 158 wins, 65 losses, 10 draws. Wow, what a career. 81 knockouts. Wow. And that's not including the time he hit you with the elbow.
I was just going to say, if we do another list of the dirtiest fighters of all time, he might be right up there.
Fitzy's number 1. He's number 1. I'll tell you right now, I'll let the cat out of the bag. He's number 1. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I dispense with all trying to make it where, you know, there's something to wait on. There's nothing to wait on. He's number 1. All right. His record was 101 wins, 24 losses, and 5 draws when he won the title. What a great fighter. He beat the great Henry Armstrong, too. That's all you need to know. All right. Number 1. It's got to be number 1. But when you make a movie about somebody and you call it the Cinderella Man, you're not going to be called the Cinderella Man if you didn't do something pretty extraordinary. Pretty extraordinary. And what's more extraordinary than having a record of 51 wins, 25 losses, and 7 draws when you fight for the title against the guy in Max Baer who punched so hard that a guy was killed in the ring a couple fights before that, and the commission was afraid to afraid to commission a fight, afraid to allow the fight to take place because they thought Bradock might get killed. Because Max Baer was, such a big right-hand puncher and everything else. This guy had 25 losses. They said, we shouldn't even make the fight. Finally, the fight did get made. He went on a winning streak. He beat some good fighters. He put himself in a position to get a chance to fight for the title, and he made the most of it. He outboxed the big puncher. James Bradock. Again, his final record, 52 wins, 26 losses, 7 draws, 27 knockouts. He had 3 no contests. He became the heavyweight champ. He became the Cinderella man. He was on home relief. His hands were bad. His career went sideways. He had bad hands. He went on a bad losing streak. He couldn't train properly. He couldn't even eat properly. He couldn't feed his family properly. He wasn't getting was doing a very difficult time. He wasn't getting enough work, so he had to go on home relief. He was very proud. It killed him to do that, to take money from the government. He did, and then things went better for him. He got healthier. His hands got healthier. He went on a winning streak. He got the chance to fight for the title. He won the title. And then what did he do? He took the money that he had gotten from the government during that period in his life that he needed assistance, that he needed help. He went back to the government offices. They thought he was nuts. And he gave them every cent back to them that the government had given him and his family during that period. He paid them back. Talk about character. You're going to tell me that character was not part of his greatest strength to win the title? This is a guy who wasn't a big puncher, he wasn't the fastest guy, and he had bad hands. So you're going to tell me, you're going to look me straight in the eye and try to convince me that part of his greatest talent, his greatest ability, his greatest strength wasn't his character that helped him win the world title. I'm going to tell you, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Because it was. And it always is. Anyway, there it is, bud. I hope you like the list because I always want to make you happy. You want to make the fans happy. I want to make you happy. I hope the list is I think it was a pretty good list. As I do with all these things, I take them seriously. I put thought and work into them. You can always argue them. It's subjective. There's so many great fighters out there that have gone through difficult times. I'm sure you have some thoughts, Bud. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this list and thoughts about who you might put in there from your perspective.
No, I always enjoy these lists. You did a great job. Some special men on that list. And a few I get to learn as doing these. I'm not familiar with Jorge Vaca. Just new name on my radar to be able to learn about, to go to look up. And to hear the history, as always, of some of these great fighters and the stories and what's behind them. You always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And this was a perfect list defining that and finishing with the great Cinderella man, James Bradock. So just for some of the more modern names or some that stood out to me right away, I'll throw at you. Number one that stood out to me, Glenn Johnson. Glenn Johnson, the light heavyweight, believe he was from Jamaica. He had 9 losses at light heavyweight before he won the title. And then he beats Roy Jones Jr., Antonio Tarver, and some other really big name fighters. That was probably number one for me.
And he fought on my air. He fought on my air on ESPN.
Times.
Yeah, and great guy. Actually, his full first name was Glenn Koff. But yeah, Glenn
Johnson.
He's a great one to put on the list. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you caught that, and I'm glad you put him up. I'm glad you brought him up. I really am.
Yeah, number 2, I would say Oleg Maskiev. He was only for a cup of tea, but he won the WBC heavyweight title. He knocked out Hasim Rahman. And before doing that, he was knocked out 5 losses, all 5 in his career by knockout. He was knocked out by Lance Whitaker and Corey Sanders, Oliver McCall, David Tua, Kirk Johnson. And he stayed on track, got another opportunity, made the best of it. Your late friend, the great Bob Jackson, who was working his corner that night. Bob looked out for me and helped me and trained me a little bit in Gleason. So that was another one that stood out. The last one I'll throw out there, Sam Solomon. Remember Sam Solomon from Australia? He wound up winning the middleweight title. He had 11 losses at the time. Finished his career at 49, 19, and 1. Humberto Soto stood out to me as well. 2-weight division world champion. Soto, he had 7 losses and 2 draws before he won a world title. So I know there's many more that we could probably touch on, but those are just the ones from my childhood growing up that stood out and I remember right away. And like always, want to hear from the viewers, want to hear from the fans. Who do we leave out? Who would you put on your list? Please like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout. We'll be back with more historical content and a new list from Teddy next week.